Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you might happen to be. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about nerd entertainment subjects that were in the news in the past week. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor in chief of Nerd Caliber, first person shooter as a cosplay photographer ish these days. Um, God, cons, please. And on Facebook and Burley underscore adopter on Twitter as a tech journalist and a couple other things. Joining me tonight, let's see, we're going to start going clockwise in my image, which means we get to Gandalf in the city. And I don't think that's exactly how that means. Lewis, introduce yourself.
No. I should make you redo that all again just to punish you for that
No,
one.
no, you don't get a second try.
No, that was terrible. That's terrible.
Louis the Gray.
Well, I'm glad to be back. It's good to see everyone again. This is Louis Correa, co-producer with Nerd Caliber, also known as Crash the Stampede on Twitch. If you want to see some of my weekly streams, which will probably increase sometime in the very near future once I start working with them. Anyways, so we have a lot of content, a lot of great things to talk tonight. Some really engaging things that I really enjoy. So I'm looking forward to a lot of back and forth. But if you're in the chat tonight, by all means, feel free to chime in. This is a live show, so we do see your comments, and we'll do our best to read and reply to them as they pop up. But don't hesitate, just jump on in. We love the discourse. It's a lot of fun. And going forward, if you guys want to see some of my photography, it's Crash Override on Instagram. I spell it really weird, but if you type in Crash Override in some kind of capacity, you'll see my beautiful face, and you can't miss this. You'll fall in love, but please don't send me DMs. I'm not my models.
And don't send his models DMs either.
Yes,
and also joining us, Byron, if you would.
Hello, Nerd Caliber Nation. This is your boy Byron McNeil, aka Byron D Zero, on multiple facets of the internet, contributing writing for Nerd Caliber, social media guy, content creator, bunch of other capacities, still growing. I am so excited to talk about nerdy things with you guys tonight. A couple of topics really got my heart racing that were last minute. Can't wait to hear your thoughts and whatnot. And if you like cool fan art, you should totally check out my artist Insta, which is BD0Art. BDZEROART.
Go do that, folks. And yes, as Byron said, it was a fairly light week with, unfortunately, the heaviest topic and still the main topic. It's pretty downer stuff, the whole Blizzard thing. And then, boy, today, just boom, 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 boom.
Avalanche.
Avalanche of news. So we got a bunch of good stuff. Luminous, welcome to the show. And I believe Luminous is the only one we've got currently speaking or typing in the chats right now. Yep, cool. All right. So as Lewis said, if you're in the chats, and I can see there's some lurkers in there, feel free to jump in and say something about any of these topics as we go forward. All right, we are going to start with our very first topic, and this is one of the things that dropped just today, and it's pretty big. This, which didn't fade over because I didn't press the button hard enough, is a photo I took at the only time I've ever been to Wizard World Philadelphia, back in 2017, I think, and had a great time. The news is that Fan Expo, the people behind Fan Expo Boston and MegaCon and Fan Expo Dallas and yada, 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 have acquired the top 6 convention properties from Wizard World. And I'm going to bring up the article because I know it's New Orleans, it's Chicago, which is the biggest one, it is St. Louis, it is, of course, Philadelphia, hence the picture, which means I'm missing one. Portland, Oregon. And Cleveland. Actually, I'm missing a couple. So Chicago, Philly, New Orleans, Portland, St. Louis, and Cleveland. Now, just to be clear, there have been sites that have reported and others have picked up the fact that this apparently means Wizard World is done with conventions. And the site comicbook.com cites an announcement from Wizard World, which I cannot find. It's not in their press on their page or anything. And the business reporting, like Forbes, which is where I got my information, doesn't say that at all. And most of their stuff comes from the only press release that was put out by this, that as far as I can tell, which is the one from Fan Expo, which does not say anything about Wizard World's potential plans going forward for any smaller cons that they have put out, because Wizard World has a tendency to do pop-up cons in addition to their bigger ones. So any of the reports you've heard or read that says that Wizard World is definitely, well, one, not in business, that's just wrong. They're still in business. They've still got their virtual events and their NFT thing that they just launched, and all of their collectible stuff. So, but that they're not doing conventions anymore doesn't seem to be verified by anything I can find. Having said that, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, honestly, all we can really do is take it with a grain of salt. Considering how COVID put a dent in a lot of the bank accounts of conventions, big and small, I wouldn't be surprised. But until we get some sort of confirmation, we can only guess.
Right. About whether Wizard World will be doing any other convention type content in the future. There is no guess about Fan Expo buying them. That's a deal. That's done. Yes. Fan Expo made the announcement. Forbes reported it, which means they verified it from their sources. Forbes doesn't put this stuff up based on press releases without verifying. Is it a good thing?
I mean, if people in the chat have been around long enough, when I'm always on these chats, anytime a monopoly is created, I literally just hate the living shit out of it. It's just principles. I absolutely detest monopolies. Same with conventions. That applies to conventions as well. I feel like competition doesn't exist if you buy up everything, and what are they going to get out of it, to like outside of more locations and contracts from the current existing conventions that exist in those areas? I don't understand what they're going to get out of it.
What Fan Expo is going to get out of it?
Yeah. Like they're going to get more locations and more Fan Expos if they so choose to rename all the Wizard Worlds to Fan Expo.
And they are. That's in the press release. They'll all be renamed Fan Expo.
Yeah. It's just like, but why?
Money. If you've got the supply chain, in this case, supplying nerd content of vendors and guests and so on, already in the chain and signed up for various and multiple cons, adding other locations where you can easily drop them without having to recreate the entire structure of getting exhibitors, guests, vendors, and so on. You've already got that. Makes all of those new sites higher profit margin.
So that is theoretically true, but also it would depend, I guess, because we don't know what was negotiated in this contract. So like some companies, I'll just use a brief example, but like if one restaurant buys another restaurant, it doesn't necessarily buys that restaurant's chef specific recipes. That has to be negotiated as well. And in my town, for example, if you buy a bar, you have to negotiate the liquor license separate from the purchase of the bar. The bar doesn't come with the liquor license attached to it.
Yeah, so, it's the same here. It's the same where I live too.
Yeah.
You can't
like vendor lists and all of that stuff. I don't know if that's going to be thrown in there. It probably is. I'm just throwing out a hypothetical here, but I mean, if that's not in there, it's just kind of, I feel like it's like a half-ass purchase. But.
Yeah, so it's in the FAQ that's on the Wizard World site that was clearly written by Fan Expo, because it's all answers about Fan Expo. They say that all of the vendors that are in any of the previous cons this year, or the last one which is coming up, which is Chicago in October, will be offered vendor deals for when they rebrand them in 2022 as Fan Expo. But what I was getting more at the point is that Fan Expo already has their own infrastructure. Even if none of those vendors wanted to come forward, or none of the exhibitors, or somehow bizarrely none of the guests from Wizard World wanted to come forward into the Fan Expo world, Fan Expo already has an international level of vendors, exhibitors, and people to draw from and feed into those facilities. That's what I meant by the newer events are a higher profit margin. They don't have to recreate any of the lower infrastructure about funneling the content into the new cons. They already have it for Fan Expo Boston, for Fan Expo Dallas, Fan Expo Canada, and so on. Now, whether that will actually turn out to be true or a good deal is to be seen. Reed Expo, prior to the pandemic, went out and bought a bunch of international cons in the UK, particularly. There are two in Australia and so on, and have sold all of them since the effects of the pandemic. They are down to just North American cons at this point.
To paraphrase two very popular characters from an ancient show, hated it.
But my point is just that we'll have to see whether or not this is a smart roll-up strategy by Fan Expo while it's the right time to buy, because frankly people are in trouble, or it's one of those buy at what you think is the low point, and guess what, the point is going to get lower and you're really screwed.
It feels more like that. It feels like I'm waiting for the housing crisis because I own a management firm that's going to buy up all these properties.
Or like all the people buying like these penny stock, and especially GE, and finding out they're going for reverse stock, so I don't see a dime.
So,
oh boy!
I think one of the difference here is that Fan Expo is owned by an enormous media conglomerate based in Europe called Informa. And they have pockets deep enough to support a further downturn, should they decide to, than an awful lot of the other. Reed Expo is really about the only other one that's big enough to say they are rolling up other cons. There's that. Whether or not they're going to let one division help float another division during a downturn,
it remains to be seen.
Yeah. Luminous. All my best con experiences happened at chaotic fan-run independent cons.
Yes.
I can't say all my best, but they are the most fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some amazing experiences at Dragon Con.
Independent conventions like that are really fun. They're the kind of places you can just run bare ass through the crowd floor. Not really. Not that I'm suggesting it before Ronnie interrupts me and clarifies for whatever legal reason. But
there is no video supporting that we will ever let you know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But yes, whether you choose to streak or not, the smaller cons are looser and more fun.
Yeah.
When they're run well. Unfortunately, the smaller cons also are the ones that can be looser and pure garbage.
Yeah. I mean, they can't all be Granite State.
They can't all be Granite State. Some of them, turn out to be, Ball Pit Con. So,
let's not sidetrack into any of that.
Exactly. So we'll let you see where this goes, folks, as we find out further more news about it. Whether or not Wizard World has in fact pulled the plug on cons and is strictly, going to be essentially a virtual business, or not. When the next or the first Fan Expo, whatever it might be, is coming up. I think Philly is usually one of the earlier ones.
Philly usually is.
So we'll see and we'll let you know, folks. So that's the big news from the Fan Expo convention world, or at least the big news of today. Expect more from other things. All right, I just cheered when I saw this news. Clancy Brown, the Kurgan himself, has been cast as an unnamed role in John Wick 4. Unnamed, but apparently rather... so, getting back to the last bit of news, the head of the Masters of Cosplay convention series at the Fan Expo cons. Pat Covey has just joined the chat with Slash Popcorn. Thanks, Covey. And thanks for the heads up, by the way. I know I'm sure you knew about this. You were probably under some sort of NDA, but still. Anyway, Clancy Brown, gonna be in John Wick 4. The image that I put up on your screen there, I picked from the latest TV series he's in as a live actor, which is a series I've never even heard of called Emergence. Just so that we get like a current, look at him, and I just don't throw up a picture of the Kurgan.
Yeah, man. Shawshank Redemption 2.
Yep.
Not Shawshank Redemption 2. Just Shawshank, I'm agreeing.
As well.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
I don't want people searching for a sequel to that movie.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't think Stephen King would have signed off on that. Yeah, he is just so good. Although I went to his IMDb to find out what one of his most recent roles is, and he's been doing almost exclusively voice work.
Yeah,
for a long
absolutely.
time.
He's in like a lot of stuff. And
Yep.
he's like in a lot of literally everything that I enjoy. He's done a voice or part of Starship Trooper. Like he's been like in so many things.
Yep.
And I just love the guy, man.
The best
love
Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Ooh, which one was he Lex in?
Animated series.
There's a lot of animated series.
Well,
you mean
like the
Superman, the animated
Tim,
series.
the
Superman
Timverse.
and Justice League,
Okay,
the animated series.
cool. Yeah,
He was phenomenal.
The only thing he's been in as a voice actor that I could not stand was Hulk in the Agents of Smash. Now, he was
Thank you
the
for
Red
reminding me
Hulk,
of that.
Thunderbolt Ross, and you couldn't have picked a better voice for it, but God, what a piece of garbage that series was.
Yeah, absolutely.
You did like awesome bomb.
All right, and while we're on that, or we'll go back to the subject, Covey just dropped, so I was wondering what this was. He says, in just 48 hours to, cough, cough, Wicked Comic-Con. I've seen the logo. As of earlier today or yesterday, or whenever you put the logo up on Instagram, there is no website registered. Or at least it doesn't come up in a Google search. So
Time to buy it.
well, I'm assuming they've bought it and for whatever reason just haven't, activated it so that it can be searchable via DNS. But yeah, I'm waiting for that too. Let us know what that's all about. You don't have to wait 48 hours, cough, cough, if we're doing the cough, cough thing. Anyway, Clancy Brown, I believe it said this is starting to shoot soon. No, I guess it must be about to shoot real soon because it's opening in theaters Memorial Day weekend, May 27th of 2022. So
It's about time. I'm kind of wishing like when are they going to get the Continental going, because I'm looking forward to that as well.
Same.
if they are still getting it going, that's a good
Yeah,
question. We'll have
true.
to look into that.
I sure hope so, because I would love to see an expansion of that world.
Absolutely. All right, more casting news, and this kills me. This also in this news is casting news we missed. That is Catherine Zeta-Jones in her most recent series, Prodigal Son. And the news is she has been cast in the upcoming Wednesday Addams series on Netflix, titled Wednesday, surprisingly enough, as Morticia.
Kanya.
And awesome casting. I love Catherine Zeta-Jones. Since she is not going to be the primary character, I think it's probably perfect for the amount of time she'll be on screen. But snuck in there is the fact that in the announcement was the fact that we lost or never saw that the role of Gomez has gone to Luis Guzman. The awesome Luis Guzman as Gomez Addams, a stocky, mustachioed, very dry and funny Latino actor, is playing the stocky, mustachioed, very dry and funny Gomez Addams. Yes.
Yes. I have to say that I'm very intrigued by this casting choice because Louis Guzman he's a comedic actor, and he has also done quite a few stints as a tough guy actor as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so not exactly the suave, debonair Gomez Addams, but I believe that he has the chops for it.
I agree. I agree. If you've ever seen my favorite movie, Count of Monte Cristo, with him in it, he is just you can just kind of see it.
Jim Caviezel, and
Guy Ritchie.
and Guy Ritchie, not Guy Ritchie, Guy
Pierce.
Guy Pierce.
Yeah, I always get them confused, man. Them guys.
One's a director, one's an actor.
That guy.
Yes, that was a great adaptation, and Guzman. That was going to be my reference too, as proving that Guzman can do very dramatic work.
Yeah, he's phenomenal in that, and you squeeze a man stocky like that into tights, and he still manages to somehow pull it off. Like,
yeah. So finger snaps for that one for sure.
When Dantes's future wife runs away from him naked to go get dressed, and he's like chasing her, and he's just like, my lady, like you can see Gomez literally right there, just my lady.
That's true. That's a perfect scene for that. Good point.
I need to rewatch that.
Oh, it's worth it. It's a really good adaptation. Yeah. So this, I'm really looking forward to this. It's a Netflix series. It is it's Netflix, so we have no idea when this is going to hit. And Netflix
Eventually.
will let us know 3 weeks before it starts.
Yeah, Netflix be doing wild shit like that.
Yep.
They're like, well, we're not going to tell you when it's going to happen. Boom, we drop it today. Gotcha.
Gotcha. Harry Brady, welcome to the show. Folks, he's put it in a public chat, so I'm assuming it must be out there somewhere. But Covey says that Wicked Comic-Con will be April 9th, 2022 in Boston, and it will feature the original Boston Comic-Con team behind the scenes as the folks running this con.
That's such a Boston thing to say, to have Wicked somewhere in there.
Wicked!
I mean, it was inevitable.
At least it's not Wicked Pissacon. Because
Oh God, that would be a
to
St.
the-
Patty's Day con, I think.
Go down to the Packy Con,
close.
the convention in Harvard Square.
Oh God,
Go to the Packy and get some smokes.
go to the pit.
Gonna get some mobs.
Anyway, sorry, folks.
Anyway.
We're all here, living in Massachusetts doing our horrible Boston accents. The next bit of news, that is, of course, the amazing Idris Elba from a non-spoiler scene, because this was actually in the trailer, as Bloodsport in The Suicide Squad, which just came out this last Friday. The news is, they've heard your calls, your cries, your demands for it, and yes, Idris Elba has been cast as the voice of Knuckles in the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I know you were thinking I was going to say as James Bond, or as Doctor Who, or all the other... No, sorry, folks. Sorry to tease you like that.
BBC can't afford him for Doctor Who.
Exactly.
I can definitely hear him as Knuckles in my head.
Yeah.
Yep. Earlier, before the show went live, Byron and I were sort of chatting about the idea of some of the tough guys that could do it. Like The Rock, Jason Momoa, and so on.
Vin Diesel.
But Idris Elba. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is he going to do his actual accent, or if he's going to do an American English accent?
So
I hope he goes actual.
I do too, but if you've ever seen him in The Losers, which is a great movie, folks, go check it out. His American accent is actually pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Yeah. And so I can hear him doing that. Anna, welcome to the show, and I'm sorry I don't read Cyrillic, so I have no idea what it is you're saying. But I may agree with you or may not.
We're discussing a whole lot of different topics here. So if you want to keep watching, go right ahead. We talk a lot of nerd news here.
Exactly.
I translated it while you guys were talking.
You did? Is that? Oh, cool. All right. There you
Very
go.
cool.
Awesome. Coming through in the clutch, Lewis. Thank you very much. All right, so that's the Sonic the 2. It brings back all of pretty much the original cast. James Marsden, Ben Schwartz's voice of Sonic, and so on. Jim Carrey is coming back, of course. And
Something interesting about this is that as far as the casting for the voice actors, Carlino Shaughnessy seems to be the only non-screen actor voicing a character in this movie.
in the upcoming movie,
Well, she was Tails in the post-credit scene.
okay. So you're assuming, and I guess it's a safe assumption that will be the case, in Sonic 2. Why
Yes.
would you tease
And
that
she's
character if the character wasn't going to be in the next movie?
she's the official voice of Tails in the games.
And can we assume that Jim Carrey is coming back, or
Yes, they said Jim Carrey is coming back.
okay, awesome.
Yeah. So that's cool. Sonic was one of the very, very few video game movie adaptations that actually was fun, enjoyable, wasn't just awful garbage. Let's, fingers crossed they can, hit it again with number 2. This casting will help.
Please.
Speaking of cartoons, and although we haven't been speaking about this, although I guess with the Fan Expo deal we didn't talk money, but I'm sure there was big money. This, folks, is big money. Paramount Plus announced that it is going to be paying for 14 upcoming South Park movies, based on, of course, South Park, and of course, Paramount Plus is part of the whole Viacom CBS world, as is Comedy Central. At the same time, Comedy Central announced that South Park will be renewed through season 30. They're on season 24. That's through the year 2027, folks. This deal gives Trey Parker and Matt Stone just this much under $1 billion. It's a $900 million deal, according to reports. Good for them.
Yeah,
They have carte
I mean,
blanche.
I'll say is that they deserve it. The way they bang out those episodes, the way how streamlined their writing process is to get like sometimes new fresh episodes out there that still are topical and things like that. Like that's a lot of work. I've seen a few like behind the production videos of how they go from writing from writer's room to production, and man, there was some intense work going on there.
To say nothing of the voice work and the fact that they are involved so much in the voices all the time.
And they have like a solid voice cast too.
Yep.
With the likes of like Mona Marshall, of anime fame.
And they really commit to the development of their games too. Like they really like oversee that a lot, which is great. So I mean, it's consistent with how the animated series is. Like I mean, they deserve it, man. Like I remember like 10 years ago, people used to think they were just two bunch of jerk offs who had like a really asshole series, and now like they're still kind of jerk offs, but now they're rich jerk offs, man. They can jerk anything off. They got it.
They're doing what they love.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying they're doing what they love.
They're doing what they love. They clearly have an insane work ethic.
Yeah.
And
I can forgive them for basketball.
I didn't like it as much as Orgasmo, but it had its moments.
Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon is top tier. But anyway, good for them. Expect way more South Park animated entertainment coming, going forward.
Yeah.
Way more. 14 movies in a 6-year deal. That's a lot of movies.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Let's hope that they aren't taken away from Star Trek Discovery money, folks. I don't think they are. Star Trek as a franchise launched Paramount Plus, and it's, you know,
Yeah.
gonna
Who do
stay
you
right
think this
there.
is, Warner Brothers?
Hmm?
Who do you think this is, Warner?
Thankfully, no. It is not Warner Brothers. But speaking sort of tangentially connected, because Warner Brothers owns DC, DC Comics, in an issue out today, has confirmed that the Tim Drake Robin, and there have been many Robins in the Batman canon, is in fact bisexual. And I picked that image because I actually really like that Tim Drake Robin suit, probably the best of all of them. Certainly better than his Red Robin suit.
I actually disagree there, but that's just me.
Okay. He's got a variation on the classic suit that's pretty good. And of course, the Red Robin suit, the suit below the cowl, let's put it that way, I think is pretty cool. I think the cowl is just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
The Dr. Midnight cowl.
Yeah. Even the colors are kind of Dr. Midnight.
Literally, like Bullock, when Sergeant Bullock would be like, "Oh, look, it's Dr. Midnight," just to piss him off in the comics.
I like the New 52 variant.
I'd have to see that one. I don't recall which one that is.
In regards to him coming out or being bisexual or written as bisexual, one thing I will say, because I've seen this today a lot on Twitter.
Oh boy.
If you don't like it, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
It's fictional men existing in a fictional world. And if one of the writers decides to make him bisexual or queer or anything like that, mind your damn business. Like, if you don't like it, you don't gotta like it. Don't read it. That's fine. But stop bitching about it and stop arguing that people are sensitive to things while you're sensitive to this thing. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Like, it's for people, young people who follow Tim Drake. I know a lot of people, Brooke, who obsessively love Tim Drake. Like, him exploring who he is in a sexuality sense is good for young people who also are conflicted and might want to view a fictional story in a capacity that like helps them in some way. And if it does, it does. And like, mind your damn business if it don't. If it don't bother you, if it has nothing to do with you, then don't worry about it.
Yep.
Yeah. I totally agree with you there. This is for people who want to, like, it's so important for people to see themselves in these characters, especially in the queer community where a lot of these kids feel alone. And as someone who is pan, I gotta tell you, I do appreciate it. I've seen a lot of this backlash. I saw a lot of this backlash with like the She-Ra reboot a while back. There was a channel called Clownfish TV. They were all like, "Oh, why not just make an original story?" I'm like, "How about you go watch your classic garbage and shut the hell up?"
Yep. So two things. One, this happened before. The same kind of reaction happened before when Marvel had Bobby Drake had Iceman come out as gay. And there were people who, "Oh my God," and were up in arms, except they were up in fingers on their keyboards and wouldn't get up in arms if their house is on fire.
In that instance, just to be a little bit of clarification, a little bit of context, there were two parts to that argument. There were obviously the jerks, the ignorant jerks who didn't like it at all, but the way they presented him as being gay was terrible, because it was literally young Jean Grey going into his mind and outing him to everybody against his consent. And it was just like the worst kind of way.
Thank you for that clarification.
I'm just clarifying.
Right. We don't want to... the people who objected to the way they did it, that's not who I'm arguing about. You're right. Good point. And the other thing is, I came this close to picking a picture of Brooke in Tim Drake Robin as...
She would have loved it.
Yeah, but then I didn't want a cosplayer, even though any of the people that I can think of that I've taken pictures of as either Tim Drake Robin or Red Robin would be absolutely fine with the association. I didn't want to make that assumption that they would be fine with that association.
Sure, and that's fine. In the future, let me know. I'll ask.
Well, or I could have asked too, but it's one of those. Since that came up pretty late, I'm like, yeah, no, I think I'll do the regular search. Anyway,
I got you, brother. I got fruit flies like driving me crazy, man. I'm about to go on a murder spree right now. They're just flying into my face.
Well, don't go on a murder spree if they're flying into your face, because that could be potentially hazardous to your health. Anyway, our next story.
Teaching women to destroy us in one series. Your next topic, assuming that you're going to Y and not the one you skipped.
No, I'm going to the one I skipped.
Okay, my fault. Anyways, people, just ignore what I just said and then apply it to the next topic after this one.
Exactly. So in that case, our last story that I didn't get to, so our next story, this is Eiza Gonzalez, and I think I'm pronouncing her first name correctly. Feel free to correct me, anybody out there, or Lewis, who has been cast in the upcoming Netflix science fiction series adaptation of the book series The Three Body Problem. At first, I was really confused by this, because Gonzalez is a Latin actor, and the series is almost entirely about a Chinese physics researcher, mostly set during the Cultural Revolution period of China, which is, decades ago. But according to Greg, there is a point in the last couple of chapters of the first book where some of the action moves to Venezuela.
Okay.
But then I realized that this isn't an announcement. This was Deadline getting one of their, inside sources that this person has been cast for a role in the series. And now that makes more sense to me that, why you would announce somebody who is not the lead or one of the, primary characters before you announce the leads really confused me. It wasn't an announcement. Deadline happened to get this inside source, sort of. So again, it's a Deadline, one source. We're not sure it's real, but it's Deadline. It's probably 99% a done deal. So it makes more sense.
It's always good to hear. So.
Yeah. And now I'm actually kind of, I really wish they would tell us who's going to be the leads. I mean, at
they're
first
probably gonna have to make sure they're possibly Chinese actors and actresses that can go online with mainland China, so it can be shown there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it has to be, because realistically, if you are portraying anything having to do with the Cultural Revolution and you expect this to be shown in China, you need China to sign off on every way that's presented, which means it probably won't be as accurate to the really difficult times that any sort of intellectual had during the Cultural Revolution, as was historically the case, or as was presented in the book. So it'll be a revolution where they just edit out a lot of stuff and romanticize it.
Yeah,
and
then
then
just kind of romanticize it.
Yeah. Not enough for you. Enough to you understand that it's the Cultural Revolution, but not enough to you understand what the hell happened and how they brutalize people.
Right. We're not going to show them putting scientists in prison.
Yeah.
But
are we talking like Greatest Showman levels of romanticism?
Who knows? It could be. It literally, they could be, glossing over horrible. Come on, it's China. They are going to be glossing over. There's no chance that they're going to be showing any sort of people being rounded up and put into prisons while they're rounding up Uyghurs and putting them into prisons right now. So.
Yeah, or at least any Chinese nationals being rounded up and put into prison. But someone like me, they'll round me up and throw me into prison. It'll be fun. They can just present me as a bad brown guy.
There you go. They'll put you in traditional Uyghur, and they'll say, see, Uyghur.
Yeah. We're good. We put this guy away.
Exactly.
He has a terrible beard.
Anyway, and we just get demonetized probably on YouTube because we're criticizing China. But hey, You know, if
I mean,
that's
that
what
would
YouTube wants
that
to
would
do.
have happened when I was criticizing Tennyson.
All right, now we're moving on to the next topic, which is the one that Lewis tried to jump the gun on because of my mistake in getting things out of order. And that is, we saw finally a trailer for the series adaptation of Y: The Last Man. The brilliant Brian K. Vaughan comic book, Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerra Aguera. Not sure which how you pronounce her last name. Tells the story of Yorick Brown, his pet monkey Ampersand. All the men on the planet die except Yorick and Ampersand, who's also male. And as you can see from the situation right there in that image, it causes some serious problems. But the comic book takes a very realistic and even-handed look at what the fallout from something like that would be.
Yes.
And I've only read reviews of it. I've not actually read it. I believe, Lewis, you have?
Yes, and if you plan on reading it, I'm just going to tell you ahead of time some of the wording, certain issues, including sexuality, are very dated for the time. So just beware of that. That some of the references to people who have transitioned, for example, are very dated in terms of how they represent them and how physically and emotionally they speak of them. So, but it's a pretty solid series. I've had friends who've also read it who really enjoy it, and honestly, it always reminds me of this Reddit thread I kind of skimmed once that like was kind of mildly upsetting, because the Reddit thread was, if for 24 hours men disappeared across the world as women, what would you do? And a lot of the replies were just like, I'd go for a walk with my headphones on. I'd not need to be escorted to my car. And I'm like, shit, like,
Yeah.
accurate. That's accurate, man. And here's a whole comic book series / upcoming TV show you're gonna see that to a degree, or you can see that Justice League episode where they did that for like a few hours.
I'd like to point out that if you want a taste of what the series will be like live action, I highly recommend the YouTube fan film of Y: The Last Man.
I haven't heard of it. People check it out if that's something you're looking into. I'm going to wait for the series because I wouldn't want I haven't read the comics, so I wouldn't want any of the storyline and individual plot elements and beats ruined for me. But
honestly, I would definitely wait for the series too, just because, like, going back to what I said earlier about dated terminology and things like that, the series is going to be more up to date with modern terminology and things like that. We hope.
Yeah.
So and it'll be more streamlined because there's a lot of stuff in there that you could just skip over.
Well, it's going to be a series, so they are going to need to fill some time. So, I'm not sure how much they're going to skip over. So the only thing about this that I was hesitant about, and the trailer makes it look like that's not a concern, is that Yorick is played by Ben Schnetzer. And the only thing I've ever seen Ben Schnetzer in is the movie Warcraft, where he played the apprentice mage. So not great would be my take on his acting in that movie.
I could understand that, but also it's a Warcraft movie. And
this is true.
Not to diminish it in any capacity because I haven't seen it, but like, I think a lot of actors who haven't gotten a big break in big movies, like they tend to do a lot better in TV series before they work up into bigger movies and things like that. So like this might give a more rounded view of like his personality, because Yorick is like a thief, he's a thief and ne'er-do-well. So he's what wouldn't be the idyllic version of a man if you wanted to say specifically mankind.
Yep. Yeah, and from what I understand, Schnetzer even prior to Warcraft, he was and afterwards was still mostly an indie guy, doing indie films, and it kind of shows. You've got someone like Ben Foster has a role in that movie, who is also an indie guy, but also has done an awful lot of nerd entertainment.
Mhm.
Yes.
And he does his best scenery chewing, weirdo Ben Foster stuff. Which he's really good at, and then up against this, Ben Schnitzer, who is playing as, I think, as straight as if he thought he was in an indie film. It's just tonally way off. Anyway, that's a different movie, or a movie and not a series. And just looking at the trailer, what I've seen in the trailer, I like his performance in this way
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I do hate the green filter, but again, that's me. That's always gonna be me. That will, till my dying day on my tombstone, that filter will be chiseled onto my damn tombstone saying no ever.
At least it's not Zack Snyder level.
Yeah.
And this is coming right up, folks. September 13th of this year on FX on Hulu.
Ooh.
So, if you got that Hulu, which I do, you get to see it. Moving on. So we had mentioned earlier in the talking about Tim Drake and representation. This is representation the way it should be done, folks. It was announced just, a couple of days ago. That HBO Max has cast Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes version of Blue Beetle, for the upcoming HBO Max movie of the same, about Blue Beetle. And it is Cobra Kai actor Jolo, and I'm getting this last name wrong, please correct me, Maridueña. It looks like it's got the accent over the N, so I think that's why you do the Dueña. As Jaime Reyes, and yay for getting a young Latin martial arts trained actor to play a young Latin superhero.
Yes.
Thumbs way up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, especially for me, like the representation does matter in this capacity.
Absolutely.
And kind of in a little bit personal way, and I'm sure I have a lot of people that would agree with me who are Hispanic themselves, but like he's not like super like white skinned either. He's very tan like me, and that doesn't matter a lot to people who aren't us. But there is a level of colorism, and a lot of actors who are white passing tend to be cast for roles like that. And seeing someone with tan coloring like myself, it's really awesome. It's great. It's great to see. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Jaime Reyes is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see if like maybe like Ted Kord mentors him in some capacity if he even shows up. But like even then, man, like I'll never forget the one comic where Jaime Reyes meets the Red Lanterns, and he specifically meets that one Red Lantern. I forget her name, Bez, I think it is, or Baz. And she's sitting in his apartment, and the bug, the beetle, the scarab on his back is registering the fact that he has hormones as a teenager, and he's getting aroused by looking at her, and he's just like freaking out because he's the only one that can hear the scarab, but he always forgets that he's the only one that can hear the scarab. It's stuff like that, like teenage stuff like that, becoming of age heroism with a character who represents people like myself. Fantastic, man. I'm looking forward to it.
I definitely resonate with the sentiment about colorism. While I can't relate to the whole white passing aspect of it, I have I grew up in that similar setting. So seeing someone that looks like you on screen is so important. And as a fan of Cobra Kai, I love seeing this next generation get that shot in the arm for their careers.
Yeah,
and
we're
seeing that the work that they've been putting in is starting to pay off, especially from marginalized groups like this.
Yep. Yeah, I love the fact that this is one of the first big franchise announcements for somebody coming out of that new crop of people in Cobra Kai, and boom, right out of the gate, it's a Latin. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
yes,
love it.
good news, good stuff. Can't wait to see this. DC has plans to begin shooting Blue Beetle at the beginning of next year, according to this article on Variety. Beginning of next year. So my guess is it's probably going to be a spring 2023 release. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I would say 2023, 2024, depending on the level of CGI editing that needs to go into it.
And with Blue Beetle, particularly this version of Blue Beetle, where his powers comes from this alien scarab thing on his back, and so the suit is even wilder than Ted Kord's. Yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of CGI.
Absolutely.
On par with, like, say, Venom.
Yeah, basically.
Or like Venom meets Iron Man.
Less wet, but
yeah.
you know. All right, folks. Our penultimate wet. Thank you for the ASMR, Lewis. Our penultimate story, folks. If you're into hallucinogens, you don't need to take them. Just go to YouTube and watch the new trailer for season 3 of Doom Patrol. This is a show that, lives on being trippy, that I think has doubled down on the shrooms in the writer's room. This trailer takes it takes the weird to a whole new level. And this is a show that loves its weird.
Yes, it does.
It's almost impossible to describe what is going on. I mean, the story continues right after the end of season 2, because that's, the team right there in the fair. But, other than that, there's time travel stuff involved. I think there's a character from the comics, Madame Rogue, who's played by Michelle Gomez. The Doctor in that form from Doctor Who.
She was the Master, actually.
The Master, sorry, yes, the Master. My bad. Missy was what you went by in that form. So I guess there's like time travel elements involved in this thing, and other than that, you just sort of look at it and go,
yeah. Now, to be fair, if you had watched season 1 and 2, you would kind of understand that trailer a lot more. If you didn't see season 1 and 2, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, no, I've seen both seasons. We covered, it on one of the first full fat spoiler chats, but I'm still kind of like,
I mean, you see like amazing things, like well, for example, the ambulance that most likely is Danny the Street.
Yes.
Yep.
Then you see Mansoor Mala and the Brain, which are two Doom Patrol enemies, and they were referenced in season 2. So Flex Metallo's been throughout the whole thing, but he's still in he's such an amazing character in the Beard Hunter. I don't want to see him ever eat a beard again, but definitely people see Doom Patrol. Seriously.
Yes.
If you're just one of, like, it's one of the most live action accurate comic book adaptations that I've ever seen.
Yes.
It does fantastic service. It does a very tasteful representation of LGBTQIA plus community stuff. It's fun all around. And come on, man, Brendan Fraser.
Well, yeah.
Everybody in this rocks, but Brendan Fraser, jeez, he is so good. Everybody's, essentially tragic story gets played in all sorts of ways throughout both seasons, and so you really get a sense to feel for all of these characters. But boy, Robot Man, Cliff, absolutely. Brendan Fraser, it is one of the most heart-rending stories for a character who really he grows a little, but he pretty much stays kind of an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, and part of the reason why I'm just an opinion here, is I think he kind of stays that way because when you're a brain inside of a robot body and you literally don't sleep or eat or do anything else, you got to do something to not go insane.
Yep.
And him kind of being an asshole and overprotective over super daddy mode even when no one wants it is like the only things that keep this man from like not losing his mind.
Yeah.
Literally.
I guess I think in that kind of situation, I'd probably would be doubly sarcastic if I were in a similar scenario.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally that one scene, I won't really spoil it, in season 2 where they're just like, or he's just like, you've never seen anything like me before. And they're like, no, we see androids like you all the time. You're rusted, you're junk. We're just gonna throw you in the trash pile when we're done. Like, that's a blow. That is such a blow.
I'm special. Yeah, no, you're just like a really bad version.
Yeah, you're like you're worse than the other ones that we were looking at.
Yeah, that's just it is a really good series. For my money, season 2 is I wouldn't say leaps and bounds, but noticeably better than season 1.
Yeah,
because it's more consistently good. And because of that, I'm really looking forward to season 3. I'm hoping that climb continues. But November 11th, folks, HBO Max, every Thursday starting through
September
November
23rd.
11th. No, start September 23rd. The first
Wait,
3
yeah, when
episodes
September
drop
gets
September
here.
23rd.
nice.
That's right. Yeah, it's already on our calendar to cover on Spoiler Chat. So after November 11th. So yeah, duh.
I'd say we met when September ends, but then I'd miss the premiere.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'd also get booted off. Oh my God, look at that. Byron's video just disappeared. How'd that happen?
Terrible.
Anyway, so we're not going to talk about when September ends. We're going to talk about when the show ends, and that'll be after this final topic. I don't know how long we're going to keep talking about this, as long as it continues to make news. But it's the Blizzard stuff, folks. So 3 things happened like literally a week ago, all reported in the same day. Actually, I guess this is an update to one that we did. This was that day. I think we did report this a little bit. Activision Blizzard employees have formed a coalition called the ABK Workers Alliance to reject the choice of Wilmer Hale as a law firm that has supposedly been hired to be the independent firm to look at the claims in the lawsuit that the state of California brought against Blizzard for a harassing workplace. Then on the same day, we got the announcement that Blizzard is facing yet a second lawsuit. This one is actually coming from investors who say that Blizzard's intentional failure to disclose its ongoing problems with sexual harassment artificially inflated the company's stock value. This will be an interesting one to follow because that basically, if it's a class action lawsuit goes forward, they need to prove that Blizzard, part of its decision not to reveal any of the and do anything about any of the situation was predicated on the idea that it would affect the stock value, and that's going to be really tough to prove without like memos and emails. And then let's get this last one in, and then we can go out and cover all of these. And then their head of human resources, Blizzard's head of human resources, Jesse Meschuk, left the company, has resigned. So that makes 2 top executives, the CEO, and now the head of human resources, who have, left the burning, sinking ship.
Or been thrown under the bus.
They are describing it as having left, and the same thing with J. Allen Brack, not the CEO, the president, has left. Who knows?
Yeah, left.
Yeah.
Did they parachute on their way down?
No, parachutes cost money.
So, keep it up, California. Keep the lawsuit up. Investors, I don't think you get a snowball's chance in hell to prove that, but keep it up.
This
keep
is
up
a
the
good
suits.
tea.
And I think, for what it's worth, like I think a lawsuit like this, even if it doesn't like hit, I hope it does, but even if it doesn't hit, it brings more attention to an ongoing situation that's happening,
Yep.
and it also kind of puts a little shake to the people at the top, because the people at the top don't literally give a shit until money starts getting affected. And
Yeah.
when investors are flexing whatever strength that they have, that's the money right there. So now you got to start making moves to fix that.
Yeah.
And even if the lawsuit, is not successful, it might be enough for them to actually stop playing lip service to people and start making some tangible changes outside of forcing people out quietly and changing a few things around and basically ignoring. Because like I remember reading that I think Blizzard workers and a lot of game industry workers as well are looking into unions as well.
Yep.
So that's a strong move, I think, right there, that I 100% support, especially with the hours that they put in.
Yeah.
And from what I've read about the company that what was the name you had mentioned?
The law firm is Wilmer Hale.
Yeah, and don't they have a reputation, and correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but don't they have a reputation for union busting?
So they've
So
gotten
that's
that
what I've read.
reputation, as far as I know, and I haven't researched their work from the time I worked with people at Wilmer Hale when I was, deep in the tech industry, to this, is because of the fact that they were hired by Amazon to stop the unionizing movement in Amazon, which was just a few months ago. Well, they were
Right.
probably hired like 6 months ago, and it ran into a few months ago. So I think that's where that reputation that you're reading about comes from. Now, whether or not it has more of that going back, and the Wilmer part of it, which is the DC office, apparently does. They have a lot more shady defense of shady things than what I'm familiar with the Hale and Dorr office, which is the one here in Boston. So it's a merged law firm of a DC firm, Wilmer something something, and the Boston firm Hale and Dorr. Hale and Dorr has done like pro bono work, and probably other stuff that I just don't know about. But yeah, it's now a combined law firm, so you got to live with the person that you're in bed with. And yes, the Wilmer part of it has done, union busting and other sketchy things.
Right. And so with that context to the viewers who are watching, like it's perfectly reasonable why people are up in arms about a firm like that stepping in to oversee, because it's most likely going to judge on the side of the company, not on the people who are suffering.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
would've been like,
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, yeah. Honestly, it couldn't be any plain. It couldn't be any plainer. Like what these idiots are playing at this point. It's going to embolden a lot of other workers in the gaming industry, because crunch culture is so toxic, and I'm not saying that's going to go worldwide, but I know at least in the West it's going to change some things.
I hope you're right.
It's at least going to embolden them.
Yes. Yeah. And the question of whether or not it changes any of the actual function, which means it's going to change the attitudes of the people at the top, and that either means those people have to change their attitudes, or you have to change the people, because they're not going to change their attitudes up at the top.
Yeah, it's like the industries all in general are just like a really terrible game of Connect Four, where you can drop 3, but they always drop 1, and they always find a way to block everything. So hopefully, this does something and breaks a stalemate. And yes, I agree with you in that I want them to be emboldened. And I want people to continue fighting for like worker rights and things like that.
Yep.
But the change also got to get, and that's where the investors come in, because the change got to start at the top. And those mother effers are the only people who got to get kicked out, and you got to get kicked out because of the money wants them gone.
And let's hope this moves over to Riot. Let's hope this continues to grow in Ubisoft. Let's, you know,
CD
there's
Projekt
a
Red.
lot of hoses that need to do a lot of flushing here.
EA.
Again, I've not heard a ton of reports about EA except for crunch issues, which is bad. Crunch issues are bad, but not anything like the kind of, you know, OSHA violating and, workplace harassment violating things going on at, allegedly at Ubisoft, at Riot, and now here Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, EA just like they have a cafeteria in their headquarters, and then when people go in, they have to buy loot boxes to get food. So that's
Is
All
it
right, folks,
potato salad?
we're
Or
running
is
late.
it a big pile of poop?
Yeah. Or you know, the gun you've been looking for. So we're running late, folks. We're going to wrap things up here. So I'm going to move this into could we please or could we not, because and I'm going to jump in with my could we please, or could the executives at Activision Blizzard please take a lesson from Andrew Cuomo. When you're caught being a hugely shitty person, quit. Step down. Now, even if the reason you're doing it is because you think it might help your case when you eventually get to court, get out of the situation that you caused.
While you're behind.
Yeah, get out while you're behind. So, anybody else have, related to this or any other, a could we please or could we not?
Could we please, if you're going back to conventions, it's fine. We all want to go back to conventions, man. Just mask up, okay? Please make it match your costume. Do whatever cosplay magic you got, whatever you feel, but mask up, man, because like things are tough. Things are tough for everyone. There's nothing wrong with it. Wear a mask, vaccinated or not, if you're gonna be that person. But at the very least, do the bare minimum to help your fellow person.
I'm going to second that, because it's getting really bad out there. In the past couple weeks, I've seen I've been to a couple of bars where like they're having like little mini festivals and everything. It's like, that's cool and all, but there's still a variant out there, and this many people in one space could make it worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's not drop our guard.
If you've seen the photos coming out of Otakon had a mask requirement. The cosplayers look awesome. So many of them did such an incredibly creative job of integrating the masks into their costume. It can be done, folks.
And absolutely can.
Yep.
All right, that's it, folks. That is our show for the night. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in the chat. Please, if you get an opportunity, go to patreon.com/nerdcaliber to check out our Patreon. We just have a couple of tiers. They're pretty low dollar tiers. Anybody can easily get in there and just for a couple of bucks a month help us get to, assuming they continue to happen, more cons, get more content for you here on YouTube and on our channel, on our website, nerdcaliber.com. Patreon.com/nerdcaliber. Our next show is Full Fat Spoiler Chat on Thursday, and it will be about The Suicide Squad. If you've seen it, folks, or if you don't mind spoilers, show up. We'll be talking all sorts of stuff about it. Let's see, our next show after that is No Nerd Caliber, and I should know what that is, but I'm not going to take the time to look it up because I don't know, because we're running late. But that's a Monday at 8 o'clock. All our shows are 8 o'clock, and then, of course, next Tuesday, our next Nerd Week Live. We're going to go around the other way this time. Byron, give us a goodbye.
Hey, guys. Byron McNeil, a.k.a. Byron D0. Check me out on multiple facets of the internet. I got a YouTube channel. It's Byron D0, BYRONDZERO. Have a good night.
Awesome. Lewis.
No, it's always great to be here. And like I said earlier, come check us out on all our shows. If you have a moment, come check me out on Twitch. Crash of Stampede. Thanks for Luminous Pat, Harry, the other people in the chat, and unfortunately the last person who said that they don't understand English, so we can't help you because we only speak English here.
This is pretty much true. I can swear a little bit in a couple of different languages, but that's about it. Luminous, thank you. Good night to you as well. And we will see you at an upcoming show. Please, everybody, stay safe.